Hello and welcome to CyberLife. My name is Ken Underhill, your host. CyberLife is all about showcasing the men and women behind the scenes in cybersecurity and educating the general public around cybersecurity topics. We help you protect yourself, your family, and your businesses. In today's show, we have some very special guests. Welcome back to CyberLife. My name is Ken Underhill, your host. Before the break, I mentioned I have some very special guests in today's episodes. So let's go ahead and meet them now. We have Isaiah here on my left. Welcome, Isaiah.
Thanks.
We have Jada on my right side. Welcome, Jada.
Thank you.
As well as Destiny, her sister. So welcome. We're going to take a look today and we're going to learn some hacking. Before we do that, though, we want to talk about the legalities. So you should only hack things that you actually have permission to hack, and you always want to have a legal agreement in place if it's not one of your systems. Now, we're not going to be hacking computers today. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We're actually going to do lockpicking, which is a little more fun and helps us get out of some bad situations in life. So let's go ahead and dive right in, guys. And as we do that, I'm going to explain the first locks we're going to pick. Sound good? Cool. Are you guys nervous?
Yeah.
Perfect. That's the way we like it. So this lock here is a traditional lock. It's called a pin tumbler lock. And you see these a lot. We interact with a lot of these, like your front door, your bedroom doors, those sorts of things. Those are all pin tumbler locks. We're going to pick these locks today, hopefully, and we'll talk about how to do that. And we'll also pick some of these other locks we have as well. We have some combination locks that we have here, along with full combination locks. And just because we love flying and we love the TSA, we have a TSA lock that we put on luggage, and we're going to see if we can pick that as well. Before we jump into picking locks, though, let's talk about these random things that we have on the table here. So I'll give each one of you guys one of these. Have you guys ever broken into a car? Okay, good. I just making sure. So these here are called air wedges. And so when we go to pick a lock on a vehicle, let's say we locked our keys in our vehicle and we need to get into it, we can use these to separate the door from the frame a little bit, and then we can take a long lockpicking tool and actually unlock our doors. Now, because I don't want your moms to get upset with me, we're not going to actually break into your vehicles today. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we can set those back down. We're not going to use those, but you guys will get to keep those after the show. So we're going to focus on our pin tumbler locks here. Now, we've got a bunch of medieval-looking type tools in front of us, and let's talk about what these actually are. So we've got our locks, and each one of you will get a lock to pick today. And I'm going to borrow yours at first, Jada, to show you guys what to do. You notice the keys are on the lock. We could easily take them off and unlock the lock, but that's no fun. And that doesn't help us learn stuff. So we're actually going to go ahead and pick these locks today. We have some different tools in front of us, and we've got different types, but a lot of these are similar tools. So we've got our tension wrenches, and that's what these look like here. Really kind of look like a little Allen wrench if you're into automotive repair and stuff like that. And then we've got some different pick tools. So we've got rake tools, so different forms of these rake tools. Kind of looks like a little rake you can rake the leaves with. And then we have these just regular pick tools here that have a little thing going up like that, or down if you put it the wrong way. So let's go ahead and just pass these out. We're going to start off with the standard pick tools here. So I'll give you guys each one. And Jada, we'll get you going on yours in just a second. So we're going to pick our locks, and the other thing we need our tension wrenches. So we're going to pick a tension wrench, and you can pick whichever ones you want to pick there, Isaiah, and I'll give you some to choose from as well. And what we're going to do, guys and gals, is we're going to pick up our locks, and so go ahead and pick up your locks. They don't bite. They're not going to explode. Don't worry. We're not doing that type of cool hacking. So in here, I'm going to point so that people viewing this can see. We have these little pins, right? So you see these little pins if we hold the lock up there. These tiny little pins. Almost looks like little pencil tips or something. So these pins are what we want to move, and we want to move these up. So there's this invisible line on these locks, and these ones are training locks for those watching the episode here. These are training locks, so that's why we can see everything. Makes it a lot easier, at least in my opinion. We'll see when you guys start picking them. But it makes it a lot easier to actually see what we're doing and learn how the lock functions so we can pick it, and then we can actually go do a little more advanced locks and become really good at this stuff. Now again, we want to make sure we have permission. We own all of these locks. If you're FBI and you're watching, we own all of these locks, so nothing to worry about there. And you guys are going to own these locks again after the show. You can practice and everything. So we have these little pins, and the goal with these little pins is to get these moving up, right? We want to get these moving up so our tool can go there and we can turn the cylinder and actually unlock these things. So when we go to unlock, and I'm showing you guys the right way to hold it, we want the pins on the top here, right? So when we pick the lock, these locks are going to turn to the right. If we hold it that way and face it towards us, they're going to turn to the right, or for the audience, turn to the right. So I already know that because I've picked all these already. But you guys didn't know that, so now you know. That's why we're holding it that way. And so our goal for this entire thing is to move each one of these pins up so we can turn the lock and unlock it. Make sense? You guys ready? Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our tension wrench at first, right? So if you guys just want to pick up one of your tension wrenches. And what you're going to do on the lock itself is you're just going to put your tension wrench in the hole. So down near the bottom of the hole, just like that.
Is this the right one?
Yep, that one works too. Yep, you can do that one. And you may want to do one of these ones, Isaiah, so it's a little easier for you. Cool. So just like that. Yep, and you may also want to do
Like this?
one of these types of ones. Just makes it a little easier for you
Wait,
this time around.
or like,
So you use the small end on it. Yep, so you want to use that small end and have it sitting in just like that. There you go. You got it.
okay.
Cool. And you want to use that small end. So, yep, just put it in like that. So the reason we use this tension wrench, I know, you'll get the hang of it, don't worry. The reason we use this tension wrench is so we can put tension. That's why it's called a tension wrench. So we're going to put some tension on it, and then as we pick it, the more tension we keep putting on it, it's going to release these little pins up, and eventually, if everything goes well, it's actually going to let us unlock the lock. So all we do is, I hold them normally like this. If it's easier for you guys, you could set it on the table, and you could put it in like that and use the table as some leverage. It's up to you. I normally just hold it with my thumb and forefinger there, just like that. And I put some tension on with my fingers. Now we don't want to put too much tension on it, because if we do, it's going to prevent some of these pins from opening. So we just want to put a little bit of pressure on it. So you guys all brush your teeth, right? Yes. Okay, good. I was hoping nobody said no there. So when you brush your teeth, we normally feel a little pressure as you go tooth to tooth with your toothbrush. So that's what we're going to be doing with this tension wrench. We're going to be just putting a little bit of pressure, almost like we're using our toothbrush on our teeth, and holding it. And as we move these little pins up, we're then going to keep pushing pressure on. So the eventual goal is that this tension wrench will come more towards us, and this will unlock. And you know, since we're filming this live, we'll see if it actually works, right? So that's what we're going to do here. So we have our regular pick tool we're going to use, and I'm going to change mine out to a better one. And let's go ahead and get started. So you guys can go ahead and hold that. You'll take one hand and you're going to put the pressure on the tension wrench. So again, if it's easier to put it on the table or something, that's totally fine. The other hand, you're going to make sure that your pick is facing up. We want this little hook to face up, just like that.
This?
You got it? Perfect. Because we're kind of going to be picking those little pins up, if that makes sense. Kind of like we're picking our nose, but we're not doing that gross stuff. So just like that, so we're going to put a little bit of tension, just a little bit, just like we're brushing our teeth. And then we're going to put our lock picker just above our tension wrench.
And
you can, but you'll want to start though, you'll want to start here and kind of, yep, you got it, and kind of put it up a little bit. And don't forget to have some tension on this. That otherwise it's not going to unlock for you. So yeah, just use your fingers a little bit. So it's a little tricky at first to try to work it out and stuff. But as we put it in there, we want to move up these cylinders. So if you guys can see the pins kind of shooting up there as I move this, you kind of see that pin there moving up a little bit. And I'll show you, Isaiah. So here, look at that last pin there. You'll notice it kind of moving up a little bit. That's what we want to do. As we move it, you kind of wiggle it like this. As we move it, we'll keep going through the lock and keep putting pressure on this tension wrench. If we let it go, then the pins are going to drop back down again. Because there's this imaginary line here called the shear line, where the pins cover that line normally, and that's locked, right? We want to push those pins above that shear line, and that way the lock will actually unlock. So when we put a key in the lock, it actually unlocks it because those pins move above that shear line. Confusing as mud? Clear as mud? Cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. So what we're going to do, just backing up, we're going to put tension on our tension wrench, right? So just a little bit of tension like we're brushing our teeth. We're going to take our pick and we're going to put it in the hole just above that. And then we're just going to kind of wiggle it around, right? And sometimes it takes a little time. Sometimes it doesn't work right. Sometimes your hands get sweaty, all these things. But we're just going to try to pick the locks this way. And your first time you pick a lock, it might take a long time. If you guys do it in 3 seconds, I'll be a little mad. But it takes a little time, takes patience. And when you're doing this for real, sometimes it takes a long time. Yes, you're doing fine. You're doing fine. So again, the goal is just to move these pins up and kind of wiggle them out of place so that way we can get this lock picking tool all the way in there and eventually be able to turn this and unlock it. And we'll see if I can actually get it unlocked on camera before I have you try, Jada. We'll see. If not, we can use a key, right? That's always a backup plan. So we'll go ahead and keep doing that there. Now you'll notice that you may have to wiggle it out. You may have to even pull out your pick a few times and put it back in and add more tension. And so it's really more of an art, right? You just have to kind of do it to actually be able to learn how to do it. And so you guys are doing great there. And if you notice that when you're picking stuff, it's not moving anything, or if you're not able to put in that pick, then you may want to put some more tension on that tension wrench. And that will allow you to pick the lock, or hopefully pick the lock. And so we'll see here if we can actually get it going for you guys, or not. And so for those watching here, you can buy these locks, these training locks off Amazon for like 10 or 20 bucks. You can get a whole kit of them. The tool picking kits, you can get those for like 10 bucks on Amazon or any place. There's a number of places you can get them. Again, always make sure you have permission. And Jada, I'm going to have you take over mine just so you can get some practice on that. And so again, the tension wrench here, you just put a little pressure on that. Just bring it towards you a little bit. And I've already cheated and put that in there, so I'll take it out. And so you'll put that in with the little pick facing up. And then the goal is just to kind of move those like you had seen me doing there. And we'll see if we can get it unlocked there. You guys are doing great. Perfect. Yes. Always exciting the first time to pick locks. And by the way, even if you've picked locks for 20 years, you still will have trouble sometimes picking these locks. In fact, when I was testing some of these other ones we're going to get to in a little bit, they're just too new to effectively pick. So there's a lot of variables in place there. But that's why you pay lock pickers so much, right? They come out, they pick the locks real quick, they make it look easy. In reality, it's not necessarily that easy. So we're going to keep working on this. You guys are doing a great job. Just keep at it. Again, sometimes you may need to add a little more pressure to your tension wrench there to keep the cylinder turning a little bit, which then opens up a little gap because in the manufacturing process, it's usually not perfect, right? And so there's a little gap there, and that's what allows us to actually pick these locks. So you're doing great. Good job, Isaiah. You guys are moving it. You're moving yeah. It's very, very hard, right? It's very hard. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. Again, even though you do it a million times, there's always that one lock you try to show off and show people to pick it real quick, and it never works. So we talked about the rake picking tool a little bit as well. It's usually a little bit easier. However, those are a little flimsier and they may break off in the lock. So we want to start with the little more difficult ones as we go. So we're going to continue picking these locks, and we're going to hopefully get something picked before we wrap up. Hello and welcome to Cyber Life. My name is Ken Underhill, your host. Before the break, we tried picking some locks. Now, we haven't been successful yet, but we're going to move on to some other locks that we have available today. So we're going to split these out for everybody. We're going to do some combination locks now. And these ones, as I mentioned in the previous segment, these are a little more difficult to pick right now because they're brand new. The more we use them, the easier it'll become to actually pick them. But what we're going to try to use is a tool called the Easy Decoder. And let me just tell you, it's not really easy to do. So I'll give you each one of those, and I'll share it with you again, Jada, if you're cool with that. And we'll give one for you, Isaiah. So with these ones, what you'll want to do is as we look at this lock, we see that on this side, if you can see it in the viewers, there's a little spot for what's called the reset key. So there's this little notch here. And that's basically when you want to set the combination on this lock, that tiny little thing. It's almost invisible to the naked eye. But basically, this allows you to reset the combination on the lock. Now, I'm not going to tell you guys a combination on these locks, but for those viewing this, when I say admin, you'll know what the combination is for these locks. And then I'll reveal it to you guys in a second. But what we're going to do is we want to have that reset notch facing to our right side. And we're going to take our easy decoder, which is this little tool here. It looks like a tiny little key. That's a straight key, or like a sword. You know,
Kind
you
of
can.
looks like a knife.
Yeah, like a knife or a sword. Yeah, you know, if somebody messes with you, just pull out your lockpicking kit and you'll be good to go. So we're going to take this. If you want to grab yours, Isaiah, and Destiny, if you want to grab yours, we're going to take our lock, and we want to have this little secret key thing facing to the right. Right. So all of us should be having it facing that way. So yep. So just kind of hold it like that, or if you want to hold it upside down, that's fine. But just make sure that that's facing to the right side. And so what we're going to do is we're going to insert this into the space above this third tumbler. So basically this third set of numbers here. We're going to slide this in here, and I'll show the audience as well. So we're going to slide it in right here. And the goal when we slide it in here, so you guys can kind of see that, what it looks like there. So almost like we're stabbing it, yeah, almost like we're stabbing it with our magical sword here, our magical lockpicking sword. Yep. So you're going to put it in just to the left of where that number 6 is on yours, and make sure, just double check you've got the point facing up on yours. There you go. And same thing there. So you'll do it just to the left. So just to the left of that 8 on yours, your other left. There you go. Yep. So it'll stick in. Now, because these are brand new locks, the goal, there's a little lever inside of here, and these are actual locks, so we can't see inside. But there's a little lever inside of here, so when you get the right combination, it lifts this little lever, and then you can unlock the lock. We aren't able to see that because we've got regular locks here, not training locks. However, what we would want to do is get this easy decoder to go all the way in as far as we can, and then as we pull on the lock, we jiggle this, and eventually it should open. Now, because these are newer locks, it's probably not going to work. In fact, when I tested this, it didn't work because they're so new. But we'll try to get this in as far as we can. And you notice here it's really not going in any further. But that's what we would do. We basically want to take advantage of that lever that's in there and use our easy decoder to force that lever up so then we can unlock the lock. Now, for our purposes, like I said, you see it's not going in there all the way. You guys can try yours. It may not go in there. But that's what we would be trying to do. So I'll let you kind of get experience, Jada, on that. So just stab it really well.
This one?
Yep, there you go. So yep, just in the top part there. So you notice it inserts, but again, the challenge with these being newer locks. Yep, newer locks. Yep, and so try to wiggle it around in there. It probably needs to be in a little further, and we need to work those locks a little more to get them going. So let's pretend that we actually were successful at this. So now I'm going to whisper the lock code to you guys real quick. 0, 0, 0, 0. So go ahead and just put that in. You can take that out and then just turn all those to that number. 0, 0, 0, 0. So just turn it to that, and then you can take that out, and then the secret code is 0, 0, 0, 0. So just put that in, and we'll see if we can unlock the locks. There you go. So now just try to unlock the lock and see if it opens for us. And let's just double check the code didn't change at all. Okay, well that one. No? Okay. Well, I guess our secret code didn't work. It worked earlier in the day, but apparently our secret code isn't going to work. And that's fine. Sometimes it doesn't work. We'll see if it's worked. So the secret code for those, when I mentioned admin, it's 0000. And these are brand new locks, and so that's typically the code you have for those. And
How
so
do people even open this?
technical issues with locks, and that's fine. Yeah, you're good. So let's move on because we'll move on to the next locks here. Now we have these combination locks, and we have the cheat codes already. Just like a great game, we have the cheat codes already for these. They're on the back, but we're not going to look at the back yet. Let's just talk about what we can do with these. And so, give you one, Jada, and this time I brought enough. So Jada, you get to do it with us. So with combination locks, a way we can find the combination besides flipping it over and looking at the back of it is we can take the knob here, start it at the 0, and we can go through just like if we were putting in a combination and put some pressure on the lock itself, right? So we can pull on the lock, and if we do it too much, you notice it doesn't really move a whole lot, right? If we do put too much pressure on it. But we just want to put just enough tension on it to where as we go, we feel kind of a click of the lock, and that tells us that might be the number for the lock. Now we're just going to do this a little bit. We'll see if we can get any numbers, and feel free to shout them out, and then we'll turn it over and we'll actually put in the combination if you guys want. So, sound good? So what we're going to do with your finger, you're just going to kind of pull it up a little bit, just a little bit of tension. If you put too much again, then you notice the lock doesn't turn. If we put just a little bit of tension, we can still turn it a little bit, and that's how we can figure out what the combination is. Now, this is not a quick method, by the way, just FYI. This normally takes, even me, it takes me a long time to do this and figure out what the combination is. But if you had to get in your locker at school or something, because you got this awesome bag of candy in there, this is the way you can get in, right? So without knowing your combination. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to just feel. It's really just a feeling thing, right? We put a little tension on and just feel for it to see if we can get any of the numbers on our lock. So just like you would unlock the lock, right? You're just going to spin it and feel if you notice any resistance at certain points. Now, if you get total resistance, you know you're putting too much pressure on it, right? You're pulling too much. But if it's moving pretty easily, and then every so often you get a little stop, that might be a number in the combination. Anybody getting numbers yet? Yes, no, maybe? Okay. Cool. So we'll keep doing this a little bit. Now, again, we've got the answers on the back here for us. So the other thing I want to point out here, we've got our cool TSA lock, and I want to make sure we have time to get to this. This is a lock you put on your luggage. So TSA requires you here in the United States, this is a global audience, so here in the United States, TSA requires you to put locks on your luggage that they can open with the magic key. We can actually pick these using the same tools that we've done before. We probably don't have time to pick this today, but just know that the skills you guys have learned in picking these traditional locks here, the pin and tumbler locks, are still going to apply for this thing here. So we could still use our lock picking tools to actually pick that. Sound good? Are you guys going to go home and like pick all the locks in your house now? Okay, cool. Welcome back to Cyber Life. My name is Ken Underhill, your host. We had a great time in today's episode. I know I did. We didn't actually get any of the locks picked yet, but we know the combinations for our combination locks, mostly because they were on the back. But we'll figure that out later, how to actually do those. We've got a lot of cool tools here. Did you guys have fun?
Yes.
Awesome. So remember to follow the Cyber Life. You can find us at cyberlife.tv. You can find us on YouTube at cyberlife.tv. You can find us on Twitter at The Real Cyber Life, because you don't want to go to something that's done by a criminal hacker. So go to The Real Cyber Life on Twitter. And you can also find us on LinkedIn at Cyber Life. And don't forget to get your Cyber Life swag. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode.